Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Unlocking the Power of Herbs, Spices, and Oils to Balance Your Cortisol. We're also going to talk about food, but for the most part, within AHS, my specialty is herbal medicine. Um, I know you're going to hear a lot about cortisol today, so we're just going to kind of gloss over that and go right to the juicy bits. If this is your first workshop of the day, let me just clear a few things up. Let me tell you a little bit about cortisol, a little bit about me, and then we're going to get to it, shall we? There's a reason this is here. Normally, what happens in my workshops is occasionally I'll make things, and the occasionally I'll make things has turned into basically every single time. And I needed to make some pumpkin puree. Pumpkins are out. Okay. So if you've not gone to get your pumpkin pie pumpkins, do so. Sprouts just had them 3 for $6, you guys. They are going to be on sale through usually it's like the middle of October. So every time I go to the grocery store, I just grab like 2 or 3 of them, depending on the sale. If it's 2 for 6, I get 2. I got 1 sitting in the ready because it takes a good 50 minutes to roast one. I want to show you guys how to really do this. So I've got 2 working right now. But we'll get to that. Don't worry about that. Okay, so let's talk about cortisol. What is it? It is a hormone that your adrenals produce to help you regulate stress. Okay, and it does a bunch of other things, but really the cortisol's role, its main role is to come into play as one of our soldiers and one of our main primary soldiers in our fight or flight. Okay, now you have fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. You have 4 of them. But with fight or flight, that's when it comes into play. The fawn and the freeze, sometimes that's more of a longer term. There's a whole scientific thing. If you have questions about that, I highly recommend you connect with Jody Solberg or one of our other practitioners. They actually will deal more in that hormone regulation and the fight, flight, and fawn and freeze. My role is to help you with the balance, to help you improve that so that we can get to managing a healthy diet. Okay. Now, cortisol is known as the stress hormone, right? Everyone thinks cortisol, belly fat, weight loss, right? You can't lose weight. Well, okay, that's a side effect of it, but it's not the main role. It gets us signals from the food that we eat, from our circadian rhythms, from climates. So this climate change from summer into fall, that's kind of where we're going. And if you follow traditional Chinese medicine, we're actually, I think we're coming off late summer and heading into fall. I think we're at the tail end of late summer. I have to go check the dates. Every year it changes. It's based on the moon cycle. And there's a chart. There's 52 weeks. There are 24 points. And depending on which point we're at this week, and I forgot to check before I started this workshop, we're probably in late summer going into fall. Regardless, we are in this transition. This transition throws our body for a loop. It throws our circadian rhythm off. It throws our ability to heat and cool our body off because we don't know if we're supposed to be hot, cold, normal. Like, what are we supposed to be doing here? It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Like, wait, what do you do? Right? This is where we are in this season. And that's why something like this is so crucial. So when we talk seasonal, we talk seasonal herbs, seasonal oils, including essential oils, you guys. Now, essential oils, yes, they are like an annual thing. There's not a better time to have them or not have them for the most part. But when you're combining them with fall and autumn, however you want to say that, food, herbs, and spices, they can really be a very powerful combination. So that's what we're going to get into today. If you have any questions about circadian rhythm, cortisol, you want to chat about that, definitely reach out, post it in the comments. I'm happy to answer. Now, why balance is key? If your body is out of balance, it doesn't function. Today's all about cortisol. We're focusing on that adrenal balance. Have you heard of adrenal fatigue? Well, when your body is out of balance, adrenal fatigue, what that is your body has been operating in a high stress mode for so long it's exhausting. We should be able to stress, relax, and let it go. That's how our brains and our bodies were developed. But we've gotten out of that with the invents of inventions. I don't know whether that's such a hard word. Inventions of frozen foods, being able to ship things from one part of the country to the other so fast. Like does this have a sticker? I don't think these are from Texas. Let me just put it that way. I don't think they're from Texas because you can't grow a pumpkin in 110-degree heat. And if you can, you're a miracle worker. But they were shipped from somewhere else into Texas, right? So we have them here. Now we're starting to see some of these pumpkins develop in our local farms. But getting in the grocery store, the ones at Sprouts, it's not from Texas. And because of that, because of the ability to eat whatever we want, whenever we want, whether it's in season or not, we've kind of fallen out of those natural processes that keep us regulated and in balance. Okay, they keep us eating seasonal foods because we didn't have any way to store it then. So when we hit traditional foods, I love fall. I am obsessed with pumpkin spice latte. Okay, obsessed with it. I know, weird. Here's why it's weird. I cannot stand pumpkin pie. Can't stand it at all. I love a pumpkin muffin, especially like if you make them similar to the mermaid. Love it. I can't have the mermaid ones because dairy, but if you make them that moist, love them. But pumpkin pies, I'm good. Pecan pie, yeah, no, thank you. Peace out. But these traditional foods were created because of an overabundance of produce of seasonal foods. And the early recipes were actually made as herbal remedies. They were ways for the chefs, the medicine men and women, the healers in communities to help the community shift from one season to the next without getting sick, without compromising their immune system, without sending themselves knocked on their butt because everybody had a job to do. And when you got sick, it wasn't like you could just go to the doctor. Here's your meds. Bye. That's part of the reason a lot of us actually are in holistic health and alternative medicine, because while that worked for a while, I don't know about you, but so we live in a new community, total side tangent, apologies. But we live in a new community, and every once in a while when they're doing something on the other side of the community, we have this horde of flies that comes into our yard. It's absolutely disgusting. So I've managed to deplete all of them, but apparently one has escaped me. We will be fixing this. There's cinnamon in this world. We'll be fixing this. So anyway, I didn't want to delete it. My coffee is ultimately what's going on. So now with this shift from summer into fall and using these traditional foods, I'm hoping that as I'm talking about how beneficial these foods and these herbs and spices are, you're starting to think, hey, maybe I can have that pumpkin pie, not stress about it, and actually help myself heal. And you totally can. And that timer means our first round of pumpkin puree is done. So let me go snag it because we wanted to sit and cool for a few minutes before we touch that one. And we'll get into this in just a sec. Let me see. Now you have to be careful. Let me warn you, you have to be careful taking these suckers out. Because they get pretty moist. So slide them. That one rolled. Slide that one. There we go. I got it. And I'm not putting the weapon on. because I'm going to show you how I did this. Now, this one has nothing on it. I didn't put any seasoning on it. We're going to season this one. I'll show you why in a second. So let's get back to this pumpkin pie and the herbs and the oils and all that. Let me tell you a little bit about what these herbs do. So now seasonal traditional foods in the autumn: cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, star anise, ginger, rosemary, thyme, oregano. Garlic is pretty much all year. All of these foods. So the things that you find in your stuffing recipe, the things that you find in your dessert recipes, your pumpkin spice latte, which this is not a pumpkin spice latte from anywhere but my house. I don't put sugar in it. I like the seasoning, but I make my own creamer. We'll get to that in a second. You actually can use your puree for that. I'll show you. I'll tell you. Now, one other thing to keep in mind with all of these herbs and spices that are traditional, all is no different than summer, spring, and winter. If you notice wintergreen, peppermint, notice those high, like wake you up, right? Intense menthol. It's because winter is cold and we're like this a lot of the time, and our body is trying to warm itself up from the inside out. So peppermint and wintergreen are traditional winter food. Okay. They're winter plant. Cilantro technically is a winter plant because it heats the body. It's one of its side effects is it heats the body. Now, the foods that I just mentioned, the herbs that I just mentioned, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, the star anise, the ginger, the clove, rosemary, oregano, thyme, they also have a couple of other side effects to them. They're anti-inflammatories. They're antioxidants. They help impact our adrenal stress responses. They support our immune system. They really give our immune system these vital nutrients that help us break down the food and produce energy for our adrenals so that we can better protect ourselves. So our immune system and our ability to protect ourselves from viruses, from illnesses, from allowing the seasons and this shift to knock us into a very vulnerable state, it helps really support us. It's putting a coat on in winter when it's negative whatever degrees out, right? You're not really going to walk out there without a coat because it's too cold. You're going to freeze right away, right? But you put a coat on and now you can go outside. To a certain extent, I know all y'all up in Alaska and Antarctica, don't come at me. So now there's actually foods during fall that do the same thing, okay? Apples, Brussels sprouts, walnuts, pecans, pumpkins, all the squashes. Summer squash is usually a summer thing. The bright yellow squashes, those are usually summer food. Even zucchini that's like a summer and fall food. You kind of fit it in both, right? There's some spinach that is more fall than summer. It will not grow in the summertime. There's a couple of other dark leafy greens as well. Like I think watercress is summer. But you can really get into a lot of those really dark, deep colors. So the dark forest green colors. That's what you're looking for with your dark leafy greens in fall. Okay. Fall colors. Think fall colors. Like if you notice, that's a fall color, right? My picture on the wall, the part that you can see, those are all fall colors, minus the like yellow there in the middle. But you're looking for these dark fall colors, these earthy colors that really help you, like the tone right here, like this burnt orange. You're looking for those colors in your squashes and in your foods, the produce, because that's what's going to help you get a boost of vitamin D, magnesium, fiber, potassium, vitamin D, omegas. They're also antioxidants. They help the inflammatory system. They're very easy to digest and metabolize out negative effects on your elimination system. Okay. Pumpkin is one of the ingredients that you give dogs when they're having issues pooping. If you've listened to me before, you know we talk openly about a lot of this. So just heads up. If it grosses you out, sorry. I'm going to move my notes up a little bit because I realize my outline is not in position here. There we go. And I have a tendency to cheddar. Okay. So with all these benefits, so with the omegas, so like flaxseed and walnuts and even your pumpkins and your squashes, there's some omegas in there, right? Doesn't mean you have to eat the skin, anything like that. You don't have to do any of that. Brussels sprouts are kind of funny. Here's a little tidbit. If you didn't like Brussels sprouts when you were a kid and you still have not tried them again, I highly recommend you put them on your list. And here's why. Somewhere in the 80s, someone decided Brussels sprouts were way too bitter. Nobody was buying them. So they did their little scientific mojo, waved a magic wand, and made them sweeter. So even organic Brussels sprouts now are sweeter than they were in the 70s. And even the early 80s, they weren't really integrated into our main food system until late 90s, early 2000s. So regardless of how old you are, you still might have had a bitter Brussels sprouts. I highly recommend you try those again. They're a phenomenal food to pair with anything. The cruciferous foods are great in the fall, but in reality, you could eat them all year long. You could grow them all year long. All right. So we're going to stop here. We're going to get into the herbs and essential oils in a minute, but I wanted to go through this while we are here and we're talking about food. All right. So now the big thing with these is you cut the top off and you cut it in half. Now we got to get rid of the seeds, right? I have a seed from that. So we're just going to put it all in the same bowl. All right. And I've got my little thing to put oil on. This is not oil. I always forget it. Put this back. A friend of mine got me the balsamic vinegar, which tastes phenomenal in dressings. And you can use some of this pumpkin puree as a dressing. You can use it as a lot of things. What I usually do in the fall is, and be very careful when you cut these, by the way, because it's a squash. So if you notice, I'm paying attention to the squash and not you. I'm sorry. Safety first. So, what was I saying? Oh, the pumpkin puree. So I do this in the fall. And the reason I get pumpkins every time I go shopping is I end up making enough puree for a year. It makes it a year. So, let's see. And you can do the same thing. And it's so easy, you guys. This is like a set it and forget it recipe. I don't do a lot of things that you have to spend a lot of time. If you've been at these workshops before, you know that. The biggest problem with these is you're gonna get stuck on seeds. All right. So instead of scooping and getting, here's what I do. Cut it in half. It's so much easier. Cut one half, place in the same place so that you get exact half. Cut it just down to the cutting board. Don't torture yourself. The stem is very hard to cut through, and it doesn't matter that it's broken. We're not displaying it. And to be quite honest, if we were, we could just make it. So you want to take all the seeds. If you haven't seen the inside of a pumpkin, it's exactly like the inside of a spaghetti squash. It shreds. So, little factoid people don't know, you could have spaghetti using squash. And I'll show you in just one sec what it looks like. It's not just the seeds. It's what makes getting these seeds out such a challenge. You see how stringy it is? It stays stringy after it's been cooked. So you could actually legitimately make your spaghetti squash recipes using pumpkin. And this centerpiece, I always use my spoon to cut it right here. Just makes it easier. And for those of you that don't know, I started a cooking show and co-host of a cooking show. So if hopping into my DMs and booking a one-on-one when I'm done with this don't appeal to you, feel free to come to one of our live shows. We do things like this. Our next one is October, so we're gonna be doing this demo there. My co-host has never made this, so it's gonna be a fun one. We also have a dessert and a few fun things planned for the winter. So come on out. Our events are free, and from what we understand, they are tons of fun, which is what we want. We want you guys to have fun while you're cooking. Part of the reason I include them in these workshops. So now we have this, right? I take parchment paper that's supposed to be for tortillas, and I just put them in the air fryer in the bottom rack. And I put my pumpkins on them. We're going to pull those to the side. Let's get our olive oil. These we're going to make a little bit differently. Now, to make plain pumpkin puree, olive oil, salt, that's it. You don't even need the salt. I use the salt because it helps it cook. But when I use the salt in the puree, I don't put salt in my recipes that I make using my puree. Make sense? So drizzle it in. Make sure you got a good coating in there. You do not need to coat the skin. We don't care about the skin. We care about inside. Okay? We care about the flesh. So get your flesh rolling. All right, coat that really well. And it's going to get really messy in here. It doesn't have to, but this is kind of one of those places where if you have kids, it's a great place to do it. Because what you do is you spread this on, right? And my pumpkin, it's in my ground cinnamon. But what this is actually pumpkin pie mix. I buy it in bulk and then had to put it somewhere. It happens to be my cinnamon. And so you have two options here. You can go savory and make this pumpkin puree with rosemary, oregano, garlic, with thyme, with all of these Italian herbs. Or you can go the sweet route. We're going sweet. We have some pumpkin lovers here. And this is what I use. This pumpkin puree, this is what I use for my pumpkin spice latte. If you don't know a pumpkin spice latte contains pumpkin butter, you might be living under a rock. And yeah, I use a lot. I like the seasoning. I like all these flavors. I really do. I'm slightly obsessed with it. So see how it's coated? That's why I said if you have kids, perfect. So you want it definitely to just get in there. This saves you afterward. Plus, it makes the house smell so nice. And that little spawning around, he's not gonna like me after this starts really smelling up the house. Cinnamon, flies, mosquitoes, hate it. Good information in it. So we got it in here, right? And here's one other thing you want to do because you're going to roast them upside down. See how some of that fell out? That's why you press it in with either your fingers. I use a brush. You have a kid, let them have a little fun. Same thing. All right, we are going to put this into a 350-degree oven for 50 minutes. All right, I'm going to put these in, come back, and we're going to talk about herbs and EOs, and then we're going to finish up this pumpkin puree and talk about how you can use and how you can store it for almost a year. I'm sure you can store it for longer than that, but we don't usually make it. The longest we've made it is first week of September. So, all right. Now, if you're ready, let's see. Oh, let's begin. I'm so excited. All right, we're gonna have to wash that up. So let's pull this over here. Side. I'm gonna bottles away. All right. So here's what happens. This is our pumpkin here. Okay. We need either a Vitamix or a food processor. So I'm gonna get my Vitamix and we're gonna get started. But the Vitamix is, no, that's right. And all you really need is your pureed pumpkins and a little bit of water. You don't want to drench this in water. You want just enough. Okay. So that goes up there. You can use food processor. Really doesn't matter. What I tend to do, and these are still warm, which is that's the other reason we use a Vitamix when they're still slightly warm. Can't use one when you can't or when they are when they're way too hot. And you go to put it in a food processor, it's gonna melt some of your food processor. Very good. I have just the Black and Decker. See how just peels right off, you guys. Don't play your kids. Did that. Usually cut it in half and it's perfect. Peel it. You want to cook these. I cook them for 50 minutes generally. Make sure they are fork tender. Over the years, you can usually tell by the color if it's ready. And if you go to pick it up and it's not falling all over your hands, you might need a few minutes. All right. That out of the way. And it's funny because when I first made this, I didn't think it made very much. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's such a little chunk. It helped make very much, right? Actually likes a lot. So you have a couple of, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but you see how it's almost shredding like a spaghetti squash, right? I'm gonna show you. You get a board. We're gonna really show you. You see? It's shredding. Make spaghetti squash with it. Whatever spaghetti squash recipe you have, try it. There is a pumpkin risotto one that's out that you put out. I was thinking the one that I know of has bacon. So pretty cool. You can also use, if you like creamy, you could use dairy. I don't drink dairy, as many of you know. A little bit of water, splash it up, people. Then see, it's kind of stuck. So we got the first little bit in there. So let's do the second bit. I'm gonna put more water in that, and it'll help. This one's good. This half really, really did a great job cooking. Okay. When you guys have your own pumpkin puree in your freezer waiting for you, you never go back. Like, I hate buying cans now. Very convenient when we run out. I will tell you that. And I'm grateful that we don't run out until, basically until they show up again. But man, the difference in flavor. Okay. So let me just explain my pumpkin puree, my pumpkin spice latte. So pumpkin spice latte and the creamer that goes along with it does have pumpkin. Anyone who says, I like pumpkin spice latte and I don't want pumpkin in my coffee, you have pumpkin in your it comes in a creamer, you have it. So you take about 2 to 3 cups of whatever preferred milk you have or you drink, and then you sprinkle in either sprinkle in the pumpkin pie seasoning or use your pumpkin pie puree, put 2 tablespoons in, blend it up. That's it. Legit. That's it. So when you're doing these purees, make sure to make a little creamer on the side because you can freeze the creamer. All right. So we're going to blend this. I'm going to toss these in my little trash can down here. It's your ears. And that's it. Now this is 4 cups. Christmas one. Let's see. 1 pumpkin. I don't know how much pumpkin you need for a pumpkin pie. Maybe you guys can tell me. All right. So without straightening all of it, what I'll probably do is take what's in there, scrape it all out, or put my milk in there and my pumpkin seasoning and just whiz that up and make my creamer out of that. You see this? 4 cups. 4 cups, 1 pumpkin cost me $3. 1 can of organic pumpkin puree right now it's about $2.30, and it's what, 1 cup, 2 cups? So, better flavor, really easy to make, and it really doesn't cost you anything. So, like, let's say you do this and all you can do, so, like, you pop this in, you're making dinner, pop it in, right? Eat dinner, do your dishes, pull your pumpkin out, let it cool on the counter when you go to bed, put it in a big bowl, put it in the refrigerator, and the next morning or the next day when you're making dinner, mix up your puree, put it in the fridge. And then the next day or maybe a couple days later, don't let it go more than 3 days. That's disastrous. And put it in a storage container, little zip top baggies, food saver, glass dishes or glass, glass containers, something that has a sealed top. Mason jars are phenomenal for this. Not only that, mason jars are much easier to defrost these things. So, like, you could really just put it on the counter, put it in your refrigerator, and let it sit for a day or two before you need it. The plastic, either the food saver or the zip tops, some of the things you can do with those, especially if they're disposable, is you rip them apart instead of heating it in that bag. Rip it apart, put it in a double boiler or something that is going to heat it up. You could even nuke it. If you're cool with that, you can nuke it. And then that way you've got it defrosted and you don't have to wait. I use Food Saver. I like the recycled line. It's really easy to pull apart. And I know they have some that you can actually boil with the bag, but I'm a little freaked out for that, so I don't really do that. So anyway, here's your pumpkin puree. Those are ways that you can store it. Like I said, we've only made it to about mid-September. You probably could store it longer than that in your freezer, but we don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. So 4 cups, 1 pumpkin. Pretty cool, right? All right. So let's talk about herbs, infusion, oils, massages, things like that. The oils that you would diffuse, oils that you would take as supplements. How are those going to help our cortisol? Because we got the food, we got the herbs, right? We got the spices as far as culinary stuff, right? But what about things that help our stress? Outside of those supplements we could take, things that would be included into tea, things like ashwagandha and rhodiola, holy basil, licorice, lemon balm. All of these things help us regulate stress. When we help manage and regulate our stress, and that's what we focus on, it actually helps restore and maintain balance within our cortisol functions and our cortisol production. Okay. Now, essential oils, like we were talking about before, really help. The seasonal ones, let's go over that really quick. The seasonal ones, lavender is one that I see pop up left and right. But that's kind of an all year essential oil. The ones that really pop up as very helpful during this time of year, turmeric, the curcumin, frankincense, vanilla. People don't understand that vanilla is not just flavor. It actually is a stress manager. It's a relaxant. It calms your brain. It can really help with headaches, you guys. If you have a lot of headaches during seasonal changes or barometric pressure changes, vanilla and citrus are your friends. Diffuse the suckers. Perfect. During this time of year, diffusing vanilla, citrus with either cinnamon, clove, any of the herbs like what you find in your pumpkin pie spice or your apple pie spice blends, those tremendously help your olfactory system. They help your brain. They help your immune system, all of which help balance your cortisol. Okay. If you find that stress becomes high, then including all these Italian herbs into your foods will tremendously help you do so as well. Oregano is kind of one of those power players, as is garlic. Oregano, oil of oregano, not oregano oil. We commonly call it oregano oil. What you're looking for is oil of oregano. That's the tincture you eat. A couple drops a day, and it will help you fight off just about everything during flu season, right? We call it flu season, but in reality, what it is we got lots of sugar in this season. We got lots of stress in this season. People are coming out of the woodwork. They want to connect with family because it is holidays and I want to be around you. We're not out in the open around each other like we are in the summer and the spring. We're in closed rooms, in closed spaces. So there's not a lot of space for things to go. So they tend to be absorbed. But I just got one of those things. So using the Italian herbs in a lot of your savory dishes, A, is very traditional for fall, but B, really supports that immune function, the adrenal functions, all of which come back to balancing cortisol. So if you're tired of hearing me say that and you want to know exactly what you need step by step, I have a challenge coming up for you. And you're more than welcome to always hop into the DMs. I will chop up my screen here in just a little bit and get you the QR code so you can just scan that and book an appointment and we'll chat. I'm happy to answer questions. I want to help. That is the main reason I'm here with AHS. That's the main reason I love doing these workshops is I just want to help. I believe that we help people in masses and those of us that are meant to work with us will. So that being said, here's what's coming up. We've completely revamped the challenge. It is 3 days. We have 3 workshops, no more than 20 minutes. We're all busy here, right? We don't have a lot of time to mess around. Those workshops are 15 to 20 minutes. We're talking about the top mistakes that you can make that I see that our other team members see, including Kate Simpson. She is part of the Wild Free Health team. She oversees all of our master energy practitioner realms. If a client needs her, they got her. And I highly recommend you hop into her session if you have not seen her yet. And even if you have, go hop in. She likes to do demos. Hop in, raise your hand. Trust me, you will thank me for it. Let me just say that. Anyway, our 3-day challenge also comes with a VIP immersive experience. And here's what that means is each day we're talking about your mistakes. We're talking about what to do about it, the steps to take. We're giving you homework before you get there so that when we hit day 3, you have all the pieces of the puzzle to pull together your very own healing transformation program. You can do it on your own, or you can hop in the VIP with us and we can walk you through it step by step. And at the end of that, either you are going off and doing it on your own, or you're coming to work with us in some capacity. We have a multitude of options to work with us individually or us as a team, including our signature programs, which you'll find on our website. Above and beyond all of that, if you sign up for VIP, I have a very special surprise at the very end of it. Those of you who are part of this, if you contact me within the next weekend, that this is live. So if you're watching me live right now, or you see this in a replay while we are live inside Ring Central, I will give you VIP for $1. Let's chat. Let's get you on the right path. Let's start with balancing cortisol because, I mean, come on. Pumpkin puree is pretty easy, but think about all the things that you make during just the fall season, just for Thanksgiving, whether you're in the States or you're in Canada or you're somewhere else, like those Thanksgiving foods, the fall food, how many times do you use a squash or pumpkin? That pumpkin puree recipe applies to all of them. You just roast it, puree it, pop it in the freezer and pull it out when you need it. It's that simple. So if anything strikes your attention, I'm here for you. I'm here to answer questions. If you have some, pop them into the chat. And if I don't catch you here, I will catch you in DMs or inside of the AHS community. I am in there as well. My name is Bonni Wildesen Hise. I'm a holistic nutritionist and herbalist and a twin boy mom. Luckily today, they are not running around, but hop into one of my other workshops and you'll see that they tend to make an appearance here and there too. So I understand busy and I understand how challenging things like balancing and managing cortisol can be. You don't need to necessarily focus on one element. We need to focus on it all. And it can be overwhelming. So reach out. Let me know if you're interested in the challenge or if you just have some questions and you want to chat. I will chat with you guys later. Thank you all for coming, and I will see you soon. Bye.